Hey, this is Brandon Crawford from the San Francisco Giants, and you're listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants with hosts Willie Dills, Chad King, and Ben Lee.
Let's go Giants! SF Giants! Let's go Giants! SF Giants! Dedicated to the greatest team in Major League Baseball history, the San Francisco Giants. This is Torture Cast.
Welcome to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. I'm your host for the night, episode 96, by the way, getting really close to 100, Chad King, and I am joined all the way from the panhandle, the penis of the United States of America in Florida, is one Eric Nathanson. How you doing, Eric?
I've had better, weeks of watching baseball.
So, yeah, we were commiserating a little bit in the pregame here, the pregame warm-up, I guess you can call it. 2 weeks ago was our last podcast, and we do apologize for missing last week, but we had some scheduling issues. Willie is, of course, on this really popular Hearthstone podcast, and they hit episode 100. They went late in the night. Eric, I think you were under the weather, and Ben was traveling from Portland, and so I didn't want to do another one of my patented drunk solo shows. So
but congratulations to Willie's other podcast. That's pretty cool that they
It is really cool. And by the way, because we have missed a few episodes here and there, we still have a shot at 100. I planned it out, and if we record every Monday, episode 100 will be right after the end of the season. So.
Oh wow! So we'll have something to celebrate because
they won't.
The
be
Giants
anywhere.
aren't going to be something to celebrate.
Episode 100 will be like, yay, the season's officially over.
Yeah, let's eulogize the Giants. Yeah, see, I told you, I knew it was going to get in there already.
Yeah, that's true. So, what the hell did happen, Eric? 2 weeks ago tonight, we just looked this up. They were 1.5 measly games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers for the National League West lead. 1.5. And as of right now, it looks like the game's about to end for the Dodgers and Angels. They're about to be 8.5 games back. 7 games in 2 weeks. And yes, we're going to talk about this sweep, but it's beyond that too. What the hell happened?
Well, I all weekend, you hear I'm stuttering because it's just so much, actually. Injuries. I think the bottom line is injuries. Well, injuries and pitching, and we'll get into pitching later. But, I mean, can you imagine if Joe Panik had been healthy for the last month, if Hunter Pence had been healthy for the last month, if Brandon Crawford had been healthy for the last month?
Mm-hmm. Angel
this
Pagan.
Would be right.
Well, although you're not a fan of his anyway, but
well, no, it would be different though. It would totally be different. You see how good he's been since he's been back. He's been healthy and moving and stuff like that. But I think it's injuries. The Giants, they just didn't have enough depth at all. So
now I think that's the biggest difference. We want to talk about injuries, and a lot of people point to the St. Louis Cardinals because they've also been afflicted with many injuries as well, including their Cy Young Award winner and all that. But they're not only in first place, they have the best record by far in all of Major League Baseball, and I think that's the key. They've had the depth to cope with their injuries and incredible pitching. Their team ERA, Eric, their team ERA for the entire season is 2.75. That's better than Madison Bumgarner alone. Okay, that's sick. That is sick. So, pitching has clearly been their strength, but even after losing Carpenter and others for the year, they've just had the farm system has been incredible. I don't know whose doing that was, if it was Duquette back in the day or La Russa had a hand in back of the day, or if it's been more recent. I haven't followed too closely, but they've obviously been fine. So, look, injuries are a part of it. We all know what happened in 2011 when Buster Posey got injured. I think that absolutely cost the Giants. We talk about WAR or whatever. His WAR is like 4, 5, 6 games a year. So you're talking about they might have lost, because that was in May. They might have lost 3 or 4 games in the standings. And they won 86 that year. And they didn't miss the wild card by that much. So I think that injury single-handedly cost them the playoffs. They still had a decent year. 13 was just a crappy year. They were under 500.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because
that was just a crappy year.
As much as Angel doesn't do it for me, I really felt like him getting that inside the park home run tanked that season.
Oh yeah, at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, in May when he beat Colorado with the inside and he knocked him out, they had to shift and move the entire rest of the year. So that was what killed it. But you're right, they just stunk.
It's just hard as a Giants fan, and obviously someone who's been doing this podcast with Ben and Willie for more than 4 years now. There hasn't been, and this is great. There haven't been too many times where we haven't been able to talk about the Giants not being in contention. And there was, of course, at the end of 2013, and that's really the only time. Because even 2011, they were pretty close all the way down the stretch. They weren't 8.5 games back with 3 weeks to play. They were closer than that. So this is just one of those times where the fall happened very sharply and precipitously. And I think
it was like they were riding up and pushing up and just kind of hanging on the edge, and then all of a sudden, bam, they fell right off.
And I think Ben pushed him over. Ben, are you there?
It's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
Thanks a lot.
It's
all your world and stately travels.
Well, don't do it again next year.
Well, you realize that the entire reason that I have to keep running places so that I can sneak off and I can kneecap Joe Panic, right?
There you go. Kneecap,
and also the entire half of the entire clubhouse.
Yes. You got Affelt with his kids again.
Right.
You got Kane and Huddy and Timmy and
I actually went and I kneecapped them all in the face specifically.
What'd you do to Pence's oblique? Because apparently that happened on a swing, but maybe you rubbed him up in the wrong way, or you did something. You altered his weight of his bat so the counterbalance was off. I mean, what did you do?
Oh, I just had to suggest a new deck for him in Hearthstone. Didn't get enough sleep and just
Touché.
I was going to say, I had to hire somebody for that, but that was a better answer. I decided.
So, I'm sure you heard the last 30 seconds or so, but we just opened up here with episode 96, so we're welcoming Ben on the show, who, of course, has been traveling a lot lately, so glad that he's here. We were just talking about, we didn't record last week, but we did 2 weeks ago tonight, and we just looked it up. They were 1.5 games back 2 weeks ago tonight, Ben. Now they find themselves 8.5 games back. And yes, there's the sweep, but 7 games in 2 weeks is an unbelievable fall from grace. And we're just trying to wrap our minds around how this actually happened. So I do want to get into the Dodgers series just for a minute here, but let's just look at the numbers. They did lose 3 in a row to LA. Of course, one was in extra innings, that was definitely the definition of torture. All 3 games were torture. They were.
Absolutely.
But that was
they were all one-run games. Yeah.
All 3 were one-run games.
You don't come out of that the same.
No, you don't. It's like, I wouldn't want the Dodger fans to laugh if they were blown out all 3 games, but as a Giants fan, you almost want to be blown out 3 games and go, well, there's nothing we could have done. They just got outplayed. But they didn't really get outplayed. They did because, when you sweep a series, you got outplayed. But every game was so close that easily a bounce here or a bounce there, 2 of those could have been 2 wins for the Giants. But, it didn't happen. The first game, they were up 3-1. Maybe Bochy let PV in a little too long with the third time through the rotation, through the lineup, and he gave up, 2 gopher balls that tied or put him in the lead, and of course Bird tied it up, and they went to extra innings. They had multiple opportunities in extra innings to score, and they didn't do it. They had multiple opportunities against Greinke and Kershaw, and granted, those 2 are the leading candidates for the NL Cy Young Award, and that's nothing to shake a stick at. They're supposed to be dominated by those guys, but they still had their shots, and our guys pitched well too with Bum and Leak, and it just didn't happen. And so that's a huge swing in the standings, but I want to caution Giants fans saying, oh, well, if we had won 1 game, we still would have been in contention. It's like, look, we're 8.5 back now. If they won 1 game, they'd be 6.5 back right now. It's not great. It's a little bit better, but it's still pretty far out. If they won 2 out of 3, I think 2 out of 3 is kind of the key. They would have been still 4.5 back, which is still a pretty tall tale for the remaining 23 games or what have you. It looks like the way they've been playing lately, it was sweep or nothing else, because that would have put them still 2.5 back of where they are right now. So it's more than the Dodgers series, but that certainly was kind of, I don't know, the nail in the coffin on the Giants season, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Sure felt like it. It was one-run games. It was games that you felt like they had a chance to win, like you said, and it was like, it wasn't that the Dodgers were better. I think that's the part that still kind of bothers me.
They didn't dominate.
Never felt like
they didn't
dominated at all. And it's like, who are half these guys on the Dodgers that were beating them too? I know Gonzalez had a big part, I think, in one of the wins, but it wasn't like it was they're getting beat around by Puig and getting shut down by Kershaw and Greinke,
right.
and
they're getting destroyed by a team that is not very good.
Right,
yeah.
They're not very good. The Dodgers really aren't that good of a team. They apparently they're hitting a stride right now. I don't know, but they're not that good of a team.
You had the first game with the extra inning loss. Of course, I was screaming at Peavy to get out after that Gonzo home run.
Yeah,
that tied the game because it was the third time.
Why are you even in there?
The second game.
God, who thought you could pitch?
I know, right?
Even
you
though
had Madison Bumgarner.
He's been decent this season, but just like, oh, what? I can't.
Sixth inning, no.
Where's my gas mask? Because this stinks.
Mad Bum had only given up one home run to a lefty all year long until he ran into Jock Peterson, of course, hitting 220.
Actually.
So, of course, he rips
right, but I mean,
home run number
Jock
2.
Peterson just gets pissed because he's on the same field as Matt Duffy.
There you go.
I will be back in this discussion again. Bam.
I will be relevant.
You will relevant me.
So you had that, and of course he's a native guy, right? He's a Palo Alto boy. Went to Palo Alto High.
Every time. It's
every time, right?
Of course. Oh yeah.
Grew up a Giants fan. Yada yada yada. It's like great.
It's like you're talking about somebody. Yeah, it's like somebody that deceased. You always throw in the may he rest in peace.
Peterson.
Something like that.
I know.
And then
if it's not Peterson, it's Jimmy Rollins, right?
Yeah, the Alameda kid, right?
Right.
And then you get game number 3, and you get the guy who the Giants were rumored to be going after for about 4 weeks. Until finally, this Kelby Tomlinson kid, the bespectacled Clark Kent facsimile, ends up hitting over 320 so far in the year, and they're like, you know what? That'll do right now. That'll do. We don't need to give up a prospect for a guy who's hitting 200 or whatever. And what does he do? He comes back and he hits the game-deciding home run.
Yeah,
in
really,
game 3. And I mean, it was the baseball gods of the odd year, just rubbing it in. I don't know what it was. There's something about that series that just seemed very mystical, the anti-particle way. You know what I mean? Like for every one of the Giants' magical 3 seasons, they've had so much magic in terms of championship number 1, not only how they won it with a 10-game losing streak by the Padres, coming down to the last game of the year, and how they went to the playoffs, through 2012 where they dominated, but they get in the playoffs and they're down 2-0 to none to the Reds, 3-1 to the Cardinals, and still win it. And then, of course, last year with barely squeaking in with the 1-game playoff, Mad Bum single-handedly taking the team on his back. Every team has had such a unique magic to it. I think for every odd year, there's been the exact antithesis of that unique magic. It's been uniquely bullshit, So
right,
and this was it. It was just like, well, who's going to hit the game tie or the game-winning home run? Chase Utley. That'll be the guy. Yeah, let's do that.
I declared him done on our last podcast. I
know.
think it was, or maybe maybe it was one before that. But I'm like, no, he's done. So of course he's the guy that has to do it. And I don't know if he's done much for them since, but it's so infuriating to see crap like that.
Well, it's like, of course, it's the guy that we were rumored about, and then all of a sudden, just like shows up and just destroys you. Like it's like built-in narrative just waiting to happen.
It was just waiting to happen. I was kind of like, he's on that team. He could. Nah, he's not gonna do anything. He's
Womp.
Gunk. Yeah, I was like, yeah, if he hit some cherry on the top home run, it wouldn't have mattered. I don't care, but it was the tie-breaking home run.
That was the one that did it.
For me personally, every game in the season counts just as much as any other game in the standings. I think it's a matter of perspective, when it occurs and whom it's against. And for me personally, the 2 key series of the second half, which has defined the Giants' playoff chances, of course, are the 2 sweeps, the one in Chicago and the one in L.A., because effectively both of those series are the ones that buried them in those races. They were actually ahead of the Cubs before that series. They get swept, and then suddenly they just, the horses go by them. And now they're 9 games back of the wild card as they stand today.
Yeah,
Same with
and they're
the
behind,
Dodgers.
and they're behind the Nats as well.
Yeah, they're up like a game now, exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, ironically, the Giants are the ones who swept the Nationals in 4 games at AT&T Park, which was just, I mean, that was incredible, but it wasn't directly relevant to a race, right? It was 4 wins. And then they go into LA. It's like, who needs the freaking wild card? You know, we're in the West race here. They were still 3.5 back going in there, and it was like, okay,
Right.
They need at least 1 to stay 4.5, but let's get 2 to go 2.5, and then just wah, wah, wah. And
Is anyone else getting really depressed talking about all the what ifs that we talked about at the time? Because, man, like, hindsight is 20/20 and all, but like when you have to look back at the games out of your ass anyway, things are not great.
No. I mean, I don't care about losing series to the Rockies and Padres at this point.
Well, at this point, no.
No.
But I mean, at this point, I'm not even as upset about the games as I am about just like looking at the roster and going, man, our DL would make a really good squad.
Yeah. I mean, that's the narrative.
Our
of this year,
DL, our DL could win a World Series.
Yeah.
I think the
And I
Cardinals
think
are
it
going
did
through the
last
same
year.
thing, but it's like they're actually doing well without their injured people.
Well, we were
We're
talking
like,
about that
yeah,
right
I
before you
was
came
saying.
on, and we said the
Yeah.
key difference between the Cards and the Giants is pitching and depth. Pitching this
Yep.
year, the
Yeah.
Cards lead all of baseball with a 2.75 ERA, which is even better than Mad Bum himself. That's a whole team, okay?
Yeah.
Whole teams don't do better than Cy Young Award contenders. There's just no, well, he's not going to win it this year, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's been in
Right
the
now,
discussion.
but
And then you got, of course, the depth. They got, they're missing Carpenter. They've had so many injuries this year. It's not even funny, but they just have
and
guys
Waino's
that are plugging
out
right
and-
in.
Yeah. They broke basically half their team. They're continuing to break their team with Yachty out and everything else. And it's like, but funny how you're still doing well. And then we just kind of turn around
Only,
and like,
the best team in baseball. That's all.
right.
Well,
Meanwhile,
it is the pitching.
come over to San
You look at
Francisco.
the
Let me
Giants.
introduce you to our
Yeah.
tire fire.
Yeah.
Well, they went into the season thinking, okay, well, we've got 80 million starting pitchers, so we should be able to make it through any rough stretch we have for any of the guys.
Sure.
But I don't think anybody anticipated Heston, kind of. I mean, I think we kind of anticipated he might level off at some point, but he really had a rough few starts. I don't think anybody expected he came over that the team would be 1-4 in his 5 starts, and he hasn't been able to really put together but one decent start. Nobody expected Vogelsong or Hudson or Petey to last the season. It was like the Giants decided we're going to throw a bunch of guys out there and just work with whatever's working at the time.
We'll
But if
figure
nobody's
it out.
doing anything. Yeah, and the we'll
they
figure it
didn't
out
figure it out.
didn't get
Yeah.
figured out. Right.
Yeah, I was
No.
reading a couple of columns, and a lot of people were talking about how the Giants went quantity over quality this year. They said, well, we'll have enough to cover the holes and put the fingers in the dikes. And it just didn't happen.
Well, here's a weird question. This comes because a friend of mine, Christy Cagle on Twitter, she's a good Giants, follow Giants fans. She knows her stuff. She made a point. She's like, do you wonder if the Giants only went after Lester and Pablo and maybe Shields a little, knowing that the 2016, this next offseason crop of pitchers is just so much better? And that's not to say that a team is like going to throw away a season.
No.
But like that they tried to get along with what they had, knowing that they've got money coming off the books.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that there's going to be more available.
Right.
I don't think
there's a ton of people out there this
Nobody ever goes into an odd year thinking that they're aiming for odd year bullshit, but at the same time, like, you have to think long term too. Like, on the one hand, you look at it and you say, okay, so funny how you took this shack, you put in about 3 nails per board and cobbled the whole thing together, and it looks like a strong wind will probably knock it over. And then a strong wind comes, and you wonder why there's no house anymore.
Right.
It wasn't quite that level of bad. Like, we're not talking like we had just said, okay, well, why don't we go ahead and we'll have Oliver Perez start for us for this year, and we had a bunch of pieces on the table that all had the potential to be good. But I agree, we didn't have anybody on the table that was really like was good at the beginning of the year. Besides, we knew Mad Bum was, and beyond that, it was a lot of question marks, just tons and tons of question marks.
Yeah, we all knew this, right?
Right. And I mean, we had lots of surprises, and that's why early on in the year we were like, no, we might run away with this thing a little bit, or at least we might make it close because we're starting to pick up and we're heating up a little bit. But it was hard to, it wasn't a team that you looked at and went, yeah, this looks sustainable necessarily. But you kept noticing that it hadn't been sustainable, but it hadn't quite tapered off, and then we'd be kind of in it for a bit, and then this month happened.
Well, you think about over the last month, specifically the last 2 weeks, all of the big at-bats with runners in scoring position where guys like Adrianza and Perez and others are up instead of, the Pences and Panics.
And that's like our
and
classic
like,
Giants problem in general, but it's compounded so much more when you're missing most of the team.
Yeah.
It's it's difficult to look at this and say like, oh well, we put our best product out there, and with that it's odd year bullshit. Everyone that could possibly get hurt has pretty much gotten hurt, including the people that couldn't possibly get hurt, like Hunter Pence.
I think it's funny because I'm not a superstitious person, and I believe in the odd year bullshit for some reason.
Right.
It's
It
more
just
of
seems like we just
I
have this, like, big
sarcastically
letdown.
believed in it. It was like, oh yeah, of course it's true. Ha ha. What a curse to win every other World Series. That's such a horrible curse. Ha ha ha. But when things like this happen, I do look at other people on the Twitterverse, specifically people like Wendy, Hanging Sliders and others, who get so angry when people mention the odd year curse. And like, what the hell are you talking about? There is no such thing. And then every time they say that, there goes
Somebody
another
else
giant
gets hurt.
down. Yeah, there goes another giant gets shot.
Literally, like
And it's like,
every time you bitch about odd
come
year
on.
bullshit, an angel loses its wings
Yeah.
or his knee. Like
It's just incredible.
He's lost a lot of knees.
he's lost a lot of knees. Like the dude's got to have 7. Actually, you know what it is Greshner has like 6 knees in the back just in case. But we've run out of knees, and so Angel's got to take a break.
He's like, I'm all out.
We've actually used up our spare.
We got a
knee
shipment
storage.
coming in 2016. You gonna wait till then?
We got some. Yeah, we have,
I get frustrated. I get frustrated that
I'm
odd
just
year
waiting on some
bullshit too.
news. Sure, because I mean, it seems like such like the first couple times it seems like such random stuff, especially like with Posey getting blown up. Nobody looked at that and said, "Why, yes, the first thing that I expect to happen this year is that our star catcher is going to get run the fuck over by some random Marlin who we still barely ever talk about except in reference to that issue."
Yeah.
But it's at this point
Damn you cousins.
just womp. But we do look over. It's like
Swear word.
I totally did. If you have 5-year-olds listening to this podcast, you should probably cover their ears or teach them to say it now.
I don't
Just
think 5-year-olds
get
have
out of the way.
ever listened to this podcast.
I don't think so either. But
Nope.
our listeners love to surprise us.
That's true.
Thanks, guys. We love surprises. I will say though that you could say that 2013 was a little different. Just kind of like you started to get the feeling by like late 2012, early 2013 that we were kind of running Angel Pagan into the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody expected Angel to have the impact that he had, and then everybody else got hurt. This year everybody got hurt early on, so we kind of knew everybody was going to get hurt, and then everybody got hurt again.
And then it happened
That was
again.
impressive.
Well,
Right, it was impressive after everybody got hurt, and only about half of them made it back, and then everybody got hurt. I was like, wait, we still have people?
It's the second round. It's the revolving door. I know. It's like we got the backups getting injured now. But, you have the first win and the first odd year. No one says anything because there's no frequency. There's no pattern. Then you get the win in 2012, and you're like, hey, they won 2 out of 3. That's awesome. Still no real even year was mentioned because it's bookended.
Because it was like, oh, really weird that you guys like had an off year there, but
Yeah, 2 out of 3. That's
and
great.
then 2013 happens.
And then 13 happens, and it was so bad. Then people are like, that's kind of funky. Well,
but here we are joking about every even year, though. Boy, this sure is funny. I bet we're going to win it in this even year. Now, wait, what?
I know. And then that was the most incredible thing. It's not hard to predict not winning the World Series, okay?
No. As you have a somewhere between a 1 in 30 and a 1 in where the Rockies chance of not
Exactly,
winning
right?
World Series.
So going into 2014 last year, it was kind of like everybody, even we joked about it on our podcast. Well, it's an even year after all. Ha, ha, ha. And then it freaking happens. And I think the fact that it happened just leads more credence to, oh, God, it's an odd year. What's going to happen this year? And the whole year up until that Dodgers series, it's like, oh, my God.
We were thinking maybe we'll actually, maybe we'll be relevant. Maybe we'll make the postseason.
Maybe this odd year curse will die. Maybe this will be good. Maybe the Giants are really just a good team. And wah, wah, wah. It's like,
boy, the Giants have a really deep team. Wait, what if we take out even the third string guys with injuries?
So
let's scrape the bottom of the double-A. Let's call up Jackson Williams to the major league roster, guys.
Oh, boy.
Which nothing against
I couldn't
Jackson
believe
Williams.
they had to do that.
I've still heard
Right.
decent things about Jackson Williams as a catcher in general, but not as a major league catcher.
Yeah, because Sanchez broke.
Yeah, he's not major league ready yet.
Didn't Sanchez break
Well,
every major joint and ligament in his one leg
Jackson
running
Williams
to first?
Running to first base.
Running to first base. Just destroyed himself running to first base.
I can't run to first.
That's it's. I mean, didn't we have somebody like this? Didn't like Pablo break his like fourth hamate bone, just like stepping on a base once or something?
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever. They didn't know.
But,
Our guys
we-
were all falling apart.
yeah, there are only two in your body, and he broke his fourth one, I'm sure. I have to say though, Jackson Williams, I've heard middling to decent things about his defense and his ability to call games.
How about his propensity for injury? Have you heard anything about that? What's the scouting report on his ligament structure?
Is he breakable?
How does one ligament?
Who cares if he
for
gets
a
hurt?
guy?
It doesn't
I'm not sure
matter.
how this-
Now we're getting punchy.
Yeah.
Well, come on. I mean, we got to be punchy. This is the first time we've gotten together since everything's gone.
Yeah, and there's no torture now. There is
No, there is
none.
no torture.
Zero.
It's death.
Yeah,
It's all
just
death.
What's next?
It's the death warrant has been signed. You know that it's going to happen. When the season ends, you're dead.
Yeah, they're pretty much. Yeah, it's a terminal case. It's just a matter of exactly what day they're going to actually pass away. And unfortunately, the only thing that's going to save them, literally, because they're 9 games back now in the loss column with 23 to play or something like that, 24 to play.
Yeah.
It has to take one of those epic, 10-game losing streaks by the Dodgers and a 9 out of 10 winning kind of streak by the Giants. Hypothetically, they got to go in, if they even wanted a miraculous chance. I'm not saying there's even a remote chance is going to happen, but mathematically they would have to say they can't be within 4 games of that 4-game series because they're not going to sweep the Dodgers in a 4-game series. Wouldn't you say they'd have to be 2 or 3 games back at the worst to have a shot at that series? And so,
absolutely, but
so 2 games
given
back.
that we're the number of games back that we are at now is much larger than 2 or 3. So it's a very difficult hypothetical situation to say, well, if we were and going into it,
Well, no, that's what I mean is that people are still like, well, look at the 4-game series. It's like, yeah, they can gain 4 games then, guys. If
Sure.
only with a sweep, if they win 3 out of 4, it's only 2-game swing.
against the team that
Okay.
kind of didn't let us do that the last time.
Yeah, so even if they did sweep 4 games, if you give them that, that's still 4.5 games they have to make up between now and then. It's not
Right.
going to happen. Sorry,
Well,
folks.
it's not with all the Rockies we still have to play. That's going to go well.
Yeah, well. So speaking of injuries, Joe Panic is back. I would normally
Yay!
say thank God, but now it's like whatever, who cares? But he's to be
yeah, pretty much.
he's to be
Shut up!
used
I
with-
just like him. Okay.
I know. No, hey, I want to see him finish up the season. But they definitely said here.
Oh,
that
I
they-
love Joe Panic. I tweeted every day he was gone. I miss Joe Panic. I miss Joe Panic. He can't do anything
Probably.
for them anymore.
I hope that he wasn't Google searching himself because after a while that probably would have gotten interesting.
No, he's a good
there's
guy.
this one. How many times? Oh, every day.
You know what? But I have to say,
go.
Tomlinson has been more than an adequate backup. I mean, he
Absolutely
is definitely
serviceable.
surprised. Granted, small
Yeah.
sample size, 26, 27, 28
Sure.
games, something like that. But that's okay. That's all he's had to do to fill in. But that game that I was at Friday night against the Cardinals where they had the walk-off, it was Tomlinson's bases loaded single. And that was a lot of fun because obviously the game was fun. But then when I went down into the presser, I asked Bochy about, this Tomlinson kid is hitting the cover off the ball. I mean, do you see a future with him once the rosters expand or when Joe Panic comes back? And he basically said, yeah, we do see a future with him. It's just a matter of where do we put him, kind of
Yep.
thing. And
That's
that's
why
going to
they're-
be the rub. And more recently, there's been more questions about him, and he's been talking about the outfield as a possibility. And I thought that was
I
intriguing.
think we've been hearing more about the potential of Tomlinson in center. Although I think that's going to depend. If you look at, I should really look up who's coming up on free agency. Where's my COTS page? But it's we aren't necessarily going to we still have some outfielders who are pretty solid, who are regular outfielders who are out there.
Well, Aoki is not going to hit his minimum plate appearances.
Right, so that's going to
exercises.
depend. But I mean, it would make a lot of sense to bring Aoki back at the same time.
I think they should bring Aoki back. They have Pence under contract. Is Pagan?
They have Pence under
still have
contract,
Pagan
guys.
for one more year, don't they?
One more year of Pagan.
Yeah.
One more Pagan.
But of course, all the outfielders break all at once. So
Sure. Well, they always do. And frankly, you're paying too much to Pagan, and Pagan has too much pride to necessarily take a fourth outfielder role.
Yes.
But at the same time, you're going to need to rest Pagan frequently, and I think that the Giants have caught on to that early on already. Mm-hmm. But it's only going to get worse, so to speak.
But then it was also fun in the clubhouse when Tomlinson came out and everybody crowded around him, and then I was kind of way in the back, You know,
Yeah.
I kind of got, and now, they're like blah, blah, blah. And then like half the reporters, it's that awkward pause and half of them leave. And then half of them are left. And there was like one question. And I had just found that GIF on Twitter as I was browsing in the back of the crowd. And I was like,
Thanks, Carmen and/or Gidget,
yeah, it wasn't Carmen. It was someone else. But
or somebody else. Fine.
I was like, hey, Kelby, have you seen your bat flip? And he goes, oh, God, what? And I was like, you want to see it? And he's all, okay. So I passed my phone to him. And all the reporters crowd back around, and he's watching it, and he's going, "Oh God, oh my, oh man, oh God, I didn't mean to do that. Oh boy, that looks bad," or whatever it was. His face just gets so bright cherry red. He was smiling, and all the reporters like, "No, man, it was a cool bat flip. It wasn't like in your face bat flip, right?
Massive gloating bat flip. It was just excited bat flip, like you could tell. It was just like yes, and
Well,
then running, you know.
And then when we were coming out of the clubhouse,
I did notice.
I was gonna say,
I noticed.
we were coming out of the clubhouse.
You're going with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's the Skype. We're coming out of the clubhouse, and Bags gave me a little fist pump. He's all, dude, that was, what did he say? That was clutch.
Yeah.
He's all showing him that. And
I mean, that was great. That's the kind of reaction that gets written into every gamer for the rest of the like.
Oh yeah, him and Pav.
They all wrote it. Yeah, they all wrote it.
Yeah.
It was great. They said a reporter showed, and I was like, yeah, Chad's a reporter. I'll take it.
Yep.
That was hilarious,
That was
though.
fun.
Just like, oh God. Oh, I flipped it. Oh, I totally flipped it.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's just a young kid, right? To see him kind of get embarrassed, but everybody's like just joshing him, going like, "Nah, man, it was cool. It wasn't like he stood there and watched it."
Totally. It was great. That was awesome.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Eric?
Well, I already said it in the middle of the other thing.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, my Skype's not the best tonight, so if you guys are hearing that, that's why.
But we got Panic back now. We got Affelt. Apparently, he probably needs to stay off playing with his kids or trying to cook burgers the rest of the year.
I always see Affeld a little bit like Kevin Nash's quad. If anybody kind of like squints at him for a second, he just like falls over, gripping it and going, "Oh no!" Like, "Oh no, I broke my Affeld."
I guess he's just a nice dad. What are you gonna say?
That's it's can you fault him for that? No,
you can't.
No.
But maybe like hold off on like tossing your kids around until like right when the off season starts.
Yeah,
So
hug him and play video games with him or something.
Oh man, no. Okay, Affeld's gonna break his thumbs.
Oh, that's true, right? His grip strength will be gone or something.
It's something. He'll like pop a
Get a
tendon
blister
in his
from the
arm
X
and like
button.
won't be able to grip
Yeah.
it. Like, I mean, it'll end up being one of those games.
It
where you have
sucks
to just,
that-
like tap X really fast, and he just kind of goes like, "Okay, I can tap this really fast. and I can't feel my arm."
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, it sucks that this is what we're going to always remember because he was such a key to so many positive memories.
I mean, for me,
but all we're going to think about is burgers and jumping into lakes. And,
but it's because he's such a hilarious dude, though.
He's just
That's
a
really what
funny
it is.
guy.
It's just like
Yeah,
you think of him as like not clubhouse glue, but at least like he's like the pepper in there. He just like makes the clubhouse interesting.
Yeah.
But for me, actually, with Affelt, it's the year of double plays. That's actually the thing that I'll remember him for the most. Not necessarily the clutch pitching that led us into one of the last World Series, but just that 1 year. Oh God, I can't even remember which season it was now. But just he induced like 5 million double plays every time he would get up. It's just like, all right, put Affelt in. There's a guy on first. Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
And it was really crazy to watch because there were so many of them.
And then we got Matt King coming off too, so we'll see what happens. I don't know where they're going to use him right now. I assume they're going to start him, but
Yippee!
I know. I mean, I want to. Now that the season's pretty much over, I do want to see him get at least 2 or 3 starts in if he's capable of doing so, just to have maybe any positive momentum going into the offseason. I don't think that's going to happen at all because he was on the shelf for 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't think whatever was bugging him is going to be gone. But we'll see. I'm really pulling for the guy. It was a real shame to see what happened to him this year, being on the shelf for a whole year and then coming back and just blowing up.
You know that Matt Cain's got to be the kind of guy who kind of looks at it and goes, they're paying me like damn near $21 million to just kind of like, to not feel like I'm doing the best that I can. Like that's got to be eating him up inside.
That has to be.
Yeah, and that's rough. I mean, I'm sure it's killing. Like Hunter it can't feel good about it either.
Yeah.
Even Tim Hudson. Like there's so many guys on this team that kind of you can't possibly even imagine as like take the money and run guys that it's like
No.
it's watching the team kind of go through this and knowing that they can't be there to help because they're trying to get themselves better. It's just got to be rough. But you have to look to next year at some point.
Well, so I know that Ben wanted to talk.
Point.
What was that?
This might be that point.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, you kind of went a little quiet. I don't know if you.
I thought that was just me. Okay.
No, Ben's gotten very quiet. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
And then he apparently disappeared. Ben is now a mime. We are now doing a mime podcast. So we're going to watch what Ben does.
How
and try
about
to relay it to.
That's better.
That's better.
That's better? Okay, I don't know. I'm just changing pickup patterns on my mic has been doing that more often lately. I might have to get a new one. But, I don't know where the money for that will come from. But I might have to get a new one. So
No, well, certainly not this show. So you wanted to talk about this last Thursday, and obviously we couldn't swing it. But, Timmy, we got to talk about him. We all know that he went under season-ending arthroscopic hip surgery. The good news is that his surgeon has a very positive prognosis for him. He does not think it's career-threatening. He, in fact, thinks that he will be back in the major leagues next year, pitching maybe not like his Cy Young self, but certainly better than the last year or two, because apparently the instability in his hip joint due to the irritation and the torn labrum and cartilage damage was causing instability, which was preventing him from putting as much torque as he had generally been doing, because he has that small body and he uses that torque in his hips to generate the arm speed. Right. And he was putting a little bit more pressure on his arm, and his arm just cannot throw 95 miles an hour. We all know this. So he may not throw 97 ever again, but hopefully he'll regain some form. The sad thing is for Giants fans, it probably won't be in a Giants uniform. That's not for certain yet, but... Well,
in fairness, though, after the couple of years he's had, there is a very high chance that you get Tim Lincecum back at a relatively low rate. It's just that it's hard to say, yes, we'll sign you and take up a spot on our 25-man for you.
Yes.
If you look at the system right now, like, Clayton Blackburn is just about major league ready, I think. He's looking very, very good at AAA and PCL.
2.85 ERA.
Yeah,
in the
ERA
PCL.
Title for the PCL, which is not an easy place to.
No.
Pitching below a 3 in the PCL is pretty damn impressive. Not at all pitcher friendly.
No, it's incredible.
Yeah, and so Blackburn is probably about ready. Heston is probably going to be in good enough shape to go again next year, and frankly, I think we'll probably do even better with some major league service time under his belt. And then you've got a little bit of you got Kane, you've got Peavy's still around,
Peavy
next
and
year
Mad
as
Bum.
well. Mad Bum's still around next year, and possibly Mike Leake. We can't roll that out either.
Well, we have to talk about that later, but we want to talk about free agent
as far as who we know we've got, right? Absolutely. And you look at the two and you say, do you want to throw more money at Tim Lincecum or do you want to throw money at Mike Leake? I'd probably rather throw money at Mike Leake right now.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely it's a tough spot to be in right now. There's a lot of pitching that potentially is around. It's just that right now we don't have access to any of it.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going to happen, and everything's going to be in flux. But my daughter, she's going to be 10 here next month or later this month.
How's her curveball?
And her favorite player is Tim Lincecum. I don't know. She just became enamored with him, when she was 4 years old.
He's undersized and he's strong and does a great job. And I get it.
It was him and Panda. She also loved the Panda and had the Panda hats and the whole thing. When Panda left last year, she actually shed a tear. She's a little kid and she doesn't understand the business of baseball. And this year, I told her about because she's like, I haven't seen Lincecum pitching. What's going on with him? And I was explaining to her, well, he's hurt, he's this and that and that. And then I had to tell her the other day that his season's over and he may or may not be with the Giants next year. And she got really upset again. She said, well, I don't understand. He's pitched with the Giants since I've been alive. No. And I'm
she's almost
she's
true.
Not the,
almost
she's
true.
not the only one that shed a
She was
tear.
born in 2005, but she doesn't remember.
No,
2007.
it's with there's so much attachment to Tim Lincecum. Then, if he does end up leaving after the season, unless he manages to do something really acrimonious in the next 3 weeks, he's going to end up leaving on good terms. And that's part of the reason. You just hope that at some point, even if he ends up succeeding somewhere else for a few years, that he'll kind of come back and work with the org. Or, I mean, if we do get him back at a really low price and that we're able to kind of shift the roster around, that it doesn't end up impacting us too much, like no one will complain at getting Tim Lincecum back unless we feel like we're overpaying. But nobody's going to say, no, we don't need him at all. It's going to be like, look, it'd be nice to have him back if we're not overpaying for what we think he's capable of now and he doesn't logjam anybody. But otherwise, there's a necessity to it, I think, now that people are willing to bargain with that they weren't when he was in better shape or like seemed a little bit close. Like the period where he always seemed right around the corner from figuring it all back out again.
Yeah, he seemed like he was getting close.
Well, the thing is I'm having a hard time looking ahead at that stuff because I'm still kind of mourning it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. When the news came down about Timmy, right after they got swept by the Dodgers, they headed in.
It's like, oh, great. What else can you throw at me? Awesome.
Right. They headed in. It was they then got demolished like 9-2 by the Rockies the next night. So much so that I was so depressed. I didn't even watch the game Friday. I didn't care what happened. The Giants had absolutely like broken my heart, and the Timmy news broke my heart because you guys are like all cool and been to the press box a million times now, but I've been only twice because of travel and all that stuff.
I haven't even been in the press box this whole year.
Well, I'm just saying I've been there twice. And both times
legit.
I've been in a press box, Tim Lincecum was the starting pitcher. Down here in Tampa and in San Francisco.
Both times, huh? I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's the guy that I'll be honest, I was like crying because I remember how excited my father used to get about Tim Lincecum, saying this is the guy that's going to turn him around.
Yeah.
He's the guy, and he did absolutely so much for this team. If it wasn't for those years where he was basically carrying them and saying, look, good pitching, he showed good pitching is going to win in that ballpark, and it's just I don't know, he's like the kid brother that we all watch grow up.
Definitely.
Buster hugs are the thing, but who wouldn't want a good Timmy hug? You know what I mean? And it's things like that. I really had a hard time with this one. I would love to see him back again, and all that stuff. But it's really hard to see it end like this, as far as injury and things like that. And I had a real tough time. It was like one of those get drunk and mourn a loss type, tough times. I really did. So I totally
cut straight to the quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel I'm right along there with Chad's daughter. It's like it's a bit of a gut punch because we all love Hunter Pence and we all love Joe Panic and we all love Buster Posey. How did I name Posey third? But Timmy was always that guy, And I've written multiple times. 2 years ago when I thought he was leaving, I wrote something, and I'm sure I will by the end of this season.
I mean, there was a period where Timmy was the only bright spot on a team that was just awful.
He brought us out of the Bonds era. He brought us out of just being a bunch of, yay, home run, boo, you're a chicken, yay, home run, boo, you're a chicken. They showed the Giants fans, that there was so much more to the game.
There's life after Bonds. Yeah.
Is it only him and Matt Cain were the only two active players that were on the team with Bonds?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty sure, yeah. Because Romo didn't get called up until afterwards, I think, right?
Exactly. Because Timmy came up in 2007, Bonds' last year, and of course Cain was up since, 05?
Yeah, yes. Cain is the most tenured Giant on the team, even though he's younger than Timmy by a year or two.
Yeah, something like that.
Because he got drafted out of high school.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's just one of those things where if you are going to say goodbye to a player, you'd like to see him kind of ride off into the sunset, at least play the last part of the year. But it was kind of like he got hit by a line drive, and he goes on the DL, and everyone's like, well, he'll come back, and he'll come back. No, and it's just – So I don't think anyone realized at that moment when he was walking off the mound that might be his last time that we see him in a Giants uniform. It just hopefully that doesn't happen. But like I'm totally with you, Ben. I don't want him log jamming a spot for maybe a more preeminent free agent pitcher. I don't want him, and the Giants aren't going to do this because they've already given him his quote bonus, right?
Right.
And it was.
And I think that the Giants want to be able to be sure he has somewhere to rehab and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they work something out in the offseason, but I don't know exactly what. Even if it's just like a minor league association to be able to allow him to rehab at their facilities,
kind of like
they're doing
with take care of him like that or something like that. But
yeah, like Scudero's permanently on the 60-day DL, so that they can at least make sure he's going to have some quality of life when he finishes with baseball.
Yeah, and it's little touches like that the Giants are very good at doing. But they've already paid him his bonus for kind of thank you for all of the previous years. We overpaid for you for these 2 years. So they don't need to give him one of those contracts again. So I agree. I think only if he's, amenable to signing a realistic contract. It's like, look, these are your numbers the last few years.
There was a time where we were like, you have to get Timmy back. It doesn't matter that he hasn't been that good. You have to get Timmy back. And then we overpaid and kind of went, it wasn't like an immediate, like some people immediately had oh, hell no reaction. But a lot of people were kind of like, it's Timmy. And it was, he had a good couple of, okay, all right. I think that this time, though, it's kind of like, you have to factor both the sentimentality and fan opinion and the business into it, because there's, we're in such an awkwardly cliff-sitting position with our pitching right now, where one thing goes wrong and suddenly we don't have a rotation, that you can't really afford to have Tim Lincecum be a high-paid critical piece of we're sitting on a cliff potential rotation thing. No. You've got to have him, either he's got to be there and you've got to know that he's going to be good, or you've got to kind of pay less and expect that you could be moving him around, or you're not sure what you'll do with him, and it's not even like in the back of my head I can see where in the business this could work out. Like, I don't even want to sit and conjecture about it. I just kind of want to hope that something happens, because I've enjoyed rooting for Tim Lincecum for so long that I want to root for him as a person without feeling like I have to do it despite him being on a different team. Yeah. And I'm not bothering to stop and go, but how will you realistically make that happen? I don't care. Like, if we can find a way, I'd really like that. I just don't want to be spending next year going, God, if we hadn't signed Timmy, then we'd be able to put Chris Heston and Clayton Blackburn on the roster at the same time. I wish, if we aren't going through that, I'll feel good about it. And if we are, I'll feel bad. And it's a different position to be in than previously when we've dealt with Timmy, but that's where I'm at right now. It's hard. You get emotionally tied up in the players on this team in a way, even though you kind of have to always take that step back and look at it. But yeah, I mean, I as much as anybody else, I don't want to think that was the last time that you're going to see Tim in a Giants uniform is right before he drops onto the DL. It's
one of those things.
Sucks.
This sucks. I hate this. I really do. I'm almost tearing up again.
Odd year.
I hate this.
Odd year.
Oh man, Timmy was the guy.
Not even a curse. It's just literally, it's just bullshit. Literal bullshit. They're actually like somebody snuck a bull onto the field, and the grounds crew is just sort of like showing up to work going, oh no, now what?
Well, one kind of fun thing that happened as a result of Lincecum being put on the 60-day DL to clear a room on the 40-man roster is that Bruce Bochy's own son, Brett Bochy, has been called up. So,
hey, Bochy the Younger.
Yeah, Bochy the Younger. So I'm sure he'll get into some action here at some point soon.
Oh, for sure. It's got to keep that fresh. I really like watching Brett Bochy play. He's not necessarily outstanding, but he's been decent enough that I never feel bad when he gets called up.
Right.
Did he get a win or a save last year? I don't think he did.
I feel like he got some holds last year. I don't know if he got a win or a save.
I think that should be the goal I think that should be the goal towards the end of the year. Not necessarily the win, but maybe get him a save or something like that.
Just get the man some stats.
Yeah, right. I mean, who cares? The season's over. I can't believe I'm saying that on September 8th. Oh, man. We're an uplifting bunch right now. I'm August. So sorry.
Hey, guys.
Last year we had 3 1/3 innings.
On a very special Torture Cast. Actually, he had no wins, no saves.
No saves, just 3 1/3 innings.
So nothing on the ledger.
3 1/3 innings.
Yep. 2 earned runs.
Allowed one
home
hit.
Run. That was a home run? Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
How about that?
Where's his game log? I want to know.
That's cool for Bruce. I remember last year when Bruce, for the first time, got to call Brett and put him in a game. He's the first manager who has ever gotten to do that. Like, there's other managers that have managed their kids in the past, but like Moises was an outfielder, when Philippe was the manager.
He's the first time when the manager's got to actually like tap on his arm and say, "Give me my kid."
Yeah,
right.
It's kind of cool,
and that's cool. And it's another one of those things when you think about the Giants that keeps
Brett only pitched in blowouts too. The only time Brett ever pitched last year was all more than 4-run leads or deficits.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
Yeah,
he came into like one of those games where they're up like they demolished the Dodgers or something like that.
This isn't nepotism.
That's I didn't sign him. Keeps everybody.
I didn't call him up.
Keeps everybody happy though.
So yeah, that's kind of cool. So we'll see what happens with the Bochis now that they're. They can't play to not to win right now. Obviously, they're still going to play to win, but we'll see what happens. So one other thing I thought was interesting was the Giants, of course, have they had the number one batting average in the National League all the way up until the last week or so. Colorado finally overtook them, and they're up by 1 point. But again, they're artificially inflated anyway. So the Giants have been one of the best hitting teams in terms of batting average out there. You'd think maybe they'd be a little bit better. You look up their pitching, and I think they're 7th in pitching right now, which is, it's just
respectable
above
considering
the
their staff is decimated.
Yeah, exactly. It's respectable considering the year they've had. But what I did is I just looked at one metric, and I know it's not the metric of all metrics, especially the sabermetricians out there would be screaming at me going, "Oh, you're forgetting about batting average and balls in play and FWAR and all this other crap." But if you look at ERA...
If you think that all of them sound like that, we're going to have to sit down and have a little intervention with you about sabermetricians. But all right, go for it.
So I thought it was interesting if you rank ERA in order. St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Mets, Dodgers, Cubs. So the top 5 teams in ERA are the top 5 playoff contenders right now. I mean, just exactly. And then the next 2, 6 and 7, Nationals and Giants, the 2 ones sitting out of the wild card and their respective divisions. So ERA has literally molded the playoff positioning right now. So I mean,
that's kind of crazy.
It is. I looked at it. I was shocked by it. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. Okay, top 5 ERA are all 5 playoff teams right now, and the next 2 sitting out are Washington and San Francisco. The next 2 teams sitting out, and so the top 7 are the top 7 teams. It's the most bizarre thing. So pitching definitely molded this year, and so it's something that the Giants need to look at for next year for sure, especially with the whole quantity over quality thing. But it is what it is. Giants struggled this year. Cardinals did not, even without a Carpenter.
That keeps happening to all of us. We'll be making a point, and then we'll come to the sudden realization that this season is pretty much done, and our voice will change a little bit, and we'll be like, yeah, but
All right.
It's okay. We're at least one podcast away from having to hit our "Why We Will Win It All" next year segment.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we still got this.
We can still do it.
We still got this.
But hey, the thing about that is as much as we're making Bochy noises, something positive has been happening lately. Buster Posey hit his 100th home run the other day. It was like,
finally.
Yay!
Woo-hoo.
For 2 minutes.
That's
finally, exactly. He went on another one of those. Yeah, it is something, but it's like he's on fire right now. He's the only Giant that's like tearing the cover off the ball.
No, he's hitting well for average. He just had such a power outage in the second half. And I don't know if that's tired legs or just a bad streak or whatever.
It's so unusual for him too. He used to always pick up in the second half, but we've really put him through the ringer lately.
Yeah.
And it's tough because his backups keep getting hurt. So it's like, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and have.
Yeah.
How about
Susak? Nope. Sanchez? Nope.
Okay, so you're gonna take first base, and we're gonna have Jackson Williams behind the plate today.
Yeah, really. It's like what?
I feel bad. I'm treating Jackson Williams as a punchline, and he's
Not his
I was
fault.
like, he's going to be a better catcher than I ever will. But it's awkward.
Yeah, he's
I
one
should
of those
point out
guys
that
probably sitting there thinking like, I'm never going to sniff the major leagues for like 5 years. Oh, he got hurt. Oh, he got hurt. Oh, I'm getting called up.
Here we go. Hey, it's Jared Hayne made the 49ers 53-man roster.
That's true. Yeah.
Kendall Hunter also is once again somebody snuck into the locker room and cut off Kendall Hunter's leg for like the 3rd time running. I should point out, so as far as ERA plus, so ballpark adjusted ERA, we actually the Giants actually are towing exactly the league average of 101. The leading the league with a like stupid ridiculous 144 Cardinals. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the only other above 120s, which are pretty damn standout, Houston and Pittsburgh. And we are towing the league average with our lackluster performances of late. We've worked our way down the ERA plus list.
Yep.
But, still above average by a point.
So it's
you can't win when you're
actually less than a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of winning, since
makes me happy,
we don't need to talk about the Arizona series or the Colorado series because they're mostly irrelevant at this point. Bumgarner, he just got his 17th win yesterday in Colorado, and so I was looking at the schedule and I was talking with my father-in-law, and he said, "Hey, do you think he can hit 20 wins?" And I was like, "Wow, I never really thought about that." So I kind of looked into the schedule, and if he pitches every fifth day, he's going to start 4 times. Now, that last start would be the day after the last game of the season, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So with a built-in or 2 off days in the schedule, there's always a possibility that, I'm not saying Bochy would do this, because why, if they're out of the race, right? I wouldn't pitch a bum. But
why would you skip somebody, right?
Yeah, but if they were to skip somebody, he could get 5 starts. But right now I'm just saying, okay, look, it looks like he has 4 starts. Sure. So he has to win 3 of those 4. You know, they're against, I think one's against the Dodgers, of course, but the others are against the Padres, the Reds, and the Rockies, I believe. So
teams that he's made look silly before, even this year.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a consolation prize, but it'd be kind of cool if, a Giant won 20 games for the first time in God knows how long. What would it be, like 1993?
22 years. Yeah, 22 years. Burkett and Swift in 93.
Burkett and Swift, which is their best team ever, by the way.
Which 93, right. Yeah. A pair of 20 game win. Yeah, right. Yeah, that just shows you how the rest of the rotation is doing, if anything.
Yeah.
But yes.
I guess
it's Elementores. Go ahead and pitch. Sorry.
As of yesterday, Matt Duffy's still hitting 303.
Yeah.
Matt Duffy. We're just saying, voters for NL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Not that Chris Bryant.
Chris Bryant's gonna get it.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
He's the Sports Center kid.
I like to imagine that Matt Duffy will get like the second number of votes, and we'll just kind of all crow about the fact that he beat out Jock Peterson for the rest of his career.
Go. Yeah,
I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that.
It's like, will I be better with him kind of like winning out? Yes, but hey, he's 4th on the team in WAR, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
like
pretty crit.
That's pretty great. I'm rather enjoying this.
Behind who? Posey, Bumgarner, and Crawford?
Yes, actually, exactly that. Almost in that order. Posey, Crawford, Bumgarner, Duffy, and then Brandon Belt and Joe Panic, interestingly enough, right behind him.
Yeah, we got Chris Bryant, hitting 267, but 23 bombs, 86 RBI. I mean, how can you argue with that?
Yeah, and he's hitting them in clutch situations, too. Yeah. He's got a couple walk-offs this year. He hit a grand slam one day. And I've watched a lot of Chris Bryant, so I'm totally okay with him beating Duffy for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
But if Duffy can beat out Jock, that's why I'm totally good with that.
If Duffy beats out everybody but Chris Bryant, I'm frankly even good with that.
Yeah, because nobody was talking about...
Yes.
Yeah,
but
nobody knew who the hell Matt Duffy was.
Let's put this out there. This is for me the Brandon Crawford will hit 220 of Rookie of the Year predictions. So like, I'm good with this.
Yes,
and then you turn around and suddenly Brandon Crawford is hitting 259. You're like, better with that, more better with that. Thanks guys.
All right, so we're gonna get close to wrapping it up here, but I just wanted to ask you guys. We got some free agents coming on the line, and you were mentioning this earlier, Ben, but. Here's a list of someone's top 10 free agents, just for reference right now, coming into this year. So we got David Price, Jason Hayward, Justin Upton, Johnny Cueto, Zach Greinke, Yoenis Cespedes, Alex Gordon, Jordan Zimmerman, Chris Davis, Mike Leake, and there's a few others like Smarja, and Ian Desmond.
Sorry, that's Stepchinski. Never mind.
And then you got, Wieters and Zobrist and Gallardo and Parra and Span. But point being is that I do think...
It's okay. Myceres Turris is going to be a free agent next year, guys. The solution is right there staring us in the face.
Perfect. Sounds like a Giant.
That's Myceres Turris is sounds like the Orlando Cabrera school of let's just grab somebody to fill this spot.
Exactly. Just play the role.
Literally.
You know what? Look, they've already obligated a ton of money to Posey and Matt Cain right now. Obviously, Lincecum's going to be off the books. Zito's off the books now.
Yeah, there's the money to make a push for a big free agent this time around.
I think this is the year they got to do it. I think
$30,000 falling off the books next year or something. I mean, $30 million falling off the books next year. I mean, $30,000, man. We've got all we need.
I would love, obviously, a David Price or someone like that, or a good outfielder like, or even another starting pitcher like Zimmerman, or a good outfielder like Cespedes has been amazing. But
I would actually Zimmerman and Price are about the same level of.
I want Greinke.
For me,
yes,
would not be upset about Greinke. Can we steal one from the Dodgers for once? Damn it. And not have them all go the other damn way.
I know. I want to do it.
Hisashi Iwakuma's on the market too. I actually like Iwakuma a lot. He's like the tier below Zimmerman. And yes, okay, I like the Mariners anyway, so maybe I'm a little biased here, but he's pretty damn talented, and he's like the step below the Zimmerman price tier for me. Like if they're like my like top tier would grab, throw all of the money, Iwakuma is my like next down, would overpay a little bit and be very happy about it guy. Greinke goes top tier for me too. Like starting pitching for me feels like the biggest gap. Outfield is one of those borderline, like we could use one more outfielder or somebody that releases us from the need to hang on to Nori Aoki. And there are not a ton out there that really line up with what I'd be looking for. Like Bautista's not bad, but I mean, I don't know. Hayward, yeah, okay. I'm not against bringing in Hayward, but like I look at the list of guys who are going to be available next year, and I don't see a ton that immediately make me go better than what we have now. Austin Jackson, maybe Austin Jackson in center, or Gerardo Parra in center. I wouldn't really complain about that too much, but Gerardo Parra is sort of like a, take Gregor Blanco and tweak a couple things and you've got Gerardo Parra.
Yeah, I don't.
Some better, some worse.
Oh yeah,
Man.
Latos is free too, by the way.
Woohoo!
Solid.
Solid.
So we're taking Zach Greinke then. Got it.
There you go. Yeah, we don't want to steal that Dodger.
Guys, Cody Ross is on the market.
Oh man.
Has been for a while.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. It's for me. It's between starting pitching and outfield. Outfield, I would lean probably Bautista, Cespedes, maybe Jason Hayward or Austin Jackson. That's the four I'd go with. And for starting pitching, just like you said, maybe Trevor Cahill, but not really current Trevor. So I could magically find older Trevor Cahill. Doug Fister. Doug Fister falls in the Iwakuma tier for me, and Scott Kazmir falls in the Iwakuma tier for me.
It's going to be an interesting offseason.
See, I just want to go for the big guys. I want the big guys. I said this. We did a podcast last year when it was like John Lester time and stuff like that. I said it back then. Give these guys all the money. I'll say it now. Give these guys all the money. I want Cespedes. I want Greinke. I'd love to see Price decide that he has
Cespedes and Greinke, Cespedes and Price. Just why not? Why not?
I mean,
we seem perfectly committed to going over the luxury tax as it is, right?
Yeah,
they've got money. Who cares? Well,
they tried it Lester this past year. They were very close. It just didn't work out. So they wanted to be closer to home.
So one of the last ones in the running, supposedly. So I mean, this is a likable team, and it's one that has a good culture around it. Like guys want to be here.
Yeah,
which is a really nice thing to be able to say now, by the way.
Yeah, years ago.
Give all the money.
Well, especially the pitchers too, just because they know it's a pitching ballpark too. So.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
1 year of Angel Pagan.
Yeah.
How could you not want to pitch at AT&T if you were a top tier pitcher all the time?
Oh yeah. I mean, that park is going to make you look good, and that infield defense is going to make you look good. Do you if you're a pitcher and somebody says, "Would you like to pitch in front of two of the three of Joe Panik, Brandon Crawford, and Kelby Tomlinson?" Okay.
Yeah, in a pitching ballpark too. We haven't not sold out in 5 straight years or something, 4 straight years,
something like that. Yeah.
So
something ridiculous.
All right, so we're going to get into our new favorite guy, and I'm going to go ahead and lead it off. And I don't need to pontificate any more about it, but it's just kind of an honorary choice. But Tim Lincecum, thank you for all the years of service. You've been one incredible Giant. If it wasn't for him, I truly don't believe the Giants would have won in 10 or 12, and certainly wouldn't have carried that momentum to what they built in 2014. I do believe he was kind of not only the catalyst, but almost like a butterfly effect with a few others to make this incredible run of 3 and 5.
If Lincecum doesn't help us win in 10 and 12, maybe we don't have the culture that brings some people that we need in the last minute for 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with it.
So it's a big thank you, new favorite guy, just in light of the most recent events with his career. So good luck to him.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
All right, Eric.
Oh. My new favorite guy is Nick Noonan, who's really an old favorite guy. But exactly, and any good Giants fan remembers Noonan. But I was really impressed when the B team took the field on Saturday against the Rockies, and Nick Noonan played first base for the first time since he was a little kid, and he handled it well. He stayed out there for 9 innings. They didn't even have to replace him or anything like that. So I was really impressed that he decided to take one for the team, and he was willing to do that. So Nick Noonan is my new favorite guy for learning how to play first base in the span of an afternoon and not making an error that night.
Yeah,
no, it's not at all.
His
totally.
The interview we did with Noonan at Media Day a couple of years ago is still probably one of my favorites besides Michael Morse, to be honest. Like, just really, really, like, just very appreciative of what he'd been given and still like ready to come in and work every day and also just neat dude, good sense of humor. I'm good with that pick. I dig Noonan.
I like Noonan,
but I have to come up with another one. Can't just have 2 favorite guys with 3 of us on the pod today. So I am going to go ahead and give my old favorite guy a new favorite guy, and that's Ryan Vogelsong. Congratulations on your first career home run.
Yeah.
I got that notification while I was working. I'm just standing there staring at my phone, and I run over to one of my coworkers and I'm like, "Did you see this?" And we look at it for a minute, and we're all, "No, but really, did you see this? Because I just saw it, and I'm not sure I believe that it actually happened." Like that's awesome.
Yeah. No, that was really cool.
It came at Coors Field, right?
It was at Coors Field, but it was kind of an opposite field home run too.
It was a right center field home run.
Yeah.
Kind of where Buster's 100th went, kind of in that area.
Yeah.
You know what that means is he gets to lord that over Jeremy Affeldt for the rest of his career.
Yes, he does.
Specifically over Jeremy Affeldt, because that's the appropriate thing to do in this situation.
It's just what you do.
Congratulations on your first home run, Vogie. Enjoy the bullpen. Poor guy.
Wow.
Yeah, but how many
poor
guys
guy.
in that,
I mean it.
How many guys in that bullpen have a career home run?
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Not too many.
Maybe Huddy? I don't know.
That's the only other one I can
Huddy.
think of.
But he's actually starting now. He's good.
Yeah, he's starting tomorrow.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. He's kind of taking Vogie's spot, so they're swapping places.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I thought that was cool for Vogie. It's a shame he couldn't appreciate it because, he got shelled. But it was really kind of really cool that he finally got one. And the reporter said after the game, he was like, "No, I don't care that I homered." So I hope in the offseason he appreciates it a lot more.
Oh, yeah. No, of course he's going to say that now. He's grumpy Vogie before and after the
Yeah.
game. So.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know anything about that, Chad.
No, yeah, I kind of got my head chewed off that one time. I completely forgot he was starting the next day.
You gotta watch the rotation.
That was a rookie mistake. Mistake. I was. Just
Don't worry, you'll never
I'll never do that
again.
Never
well, you won't have.
Good job, Rook.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, sorry about that." All right, so Ben, why don't you lead off on why we should hate this guy?
I can't even pick out an individual guy to hate because
neither did I.
I'm just I don't think I did. I bet I'm gonna go with the entirety of every single person on the Rockies, but because of can I hate on Coors Field? I'm just gonna hate Coors Field.
It's not baseball there.
Not the staff
not
there.
Baseball.
Like I know somebody on their grounds crew, really awesome dude. Nobody who works for that team or the front office or the staff or anything. Just like the park. Just hate Coors Field. That's it.
I'm fine with that. That's good.
That is good. Coors Field.
So Eric, not an individual either. That you're
no. I'm going to choose to hate, and it's ironic because it's a team I'm going to pull for down the stretch.
This is really funny, of all people.
Yeah, well, I like irony. I can't help it in my life. I'm going to hate on the Chicago Cubs because they broke our players, and they were 2 key contributors that got broken at just the wrong times. Corey Black hit Hunter Pence in the arm to start off the spring training slate, and he has had the year of the DL, and Nori Aoki got hit in the head by Jake Arrieta, and apparently now he's got to go. He's in Pittsburgh, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
To go get more concussion tests. So the Cubs, in their decided to run through the National League, decided to step and kill the Giants. So I hate the Cubs right now.
I'm not against it.
Single-handedly taking out a couple of our players.
It's Corey Black takes out Hunter Pence, and suddenly Blanco has a job. This seems like a conspiracy.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
I think it was a joke somebody else brought up on Twitter at the time, so I really can't even take any credit.
Yeah.
It's fine because I told it really badly. Moving on. Hey, Chad, who do you hate?
So I'm going to continue the string of not hating on a single individual. So I'm just going to hate all of the Dodgers.
Low-hanging fruit.
All of the Dodgers belong to suck. I know.
Oh, wow. A Giants fan hates the Dodgers, guys. This is groundbreaking podcast stuff.
Man, this is really original stuff. It's just we always hate them, but it's just the salt in the wound of the one-run losses.
I just hate them more right now.
The gloating of the Giants this and that. It's it's standard fodder. I get it, but I haven't ever used the Dodgers in this segment in 4 years. So now I'm using them.
But you couldn't before because Uribe was on the team. So now that they don't have Uribe, you can use them.
Like who don't I hit on that team? So which actually, I don't know. Jock Peterson's okay, I guess. But
I've hated individuals on the Dodgers. I've done the Don Mattingly thing and others, but this is the first
no. Don Mattingly's great. Don Mattingly wins us games.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's going to make the playoffs. He might get to keep his job. Sure,
I'm glad he's the man. We talked about this earlier. I'm glad he's the manager of the Dodgers. Otherwise, they might have 90 wins by now.
Yep.
With anyone else? God.
They might beat the 1993 Giants in blue.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Sorry, I'm good. I'm good.
I know. Okay, so last segment. Why we'll win it all. I'll lead it off. Only because it's mathematically possible.
Because we can, we will.
Because it's, mathematically possible.
Literally because we could.
Because it's possible. Arizona could say the same thing. So San Diego.
We have real confidence in these picks this week.
Well,
because our magic number is not E.
As long as we're still mathematically alive, we still have this segment. So, all right. Ben.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I'll go. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be the Brett Bochy and Joe Panic show. Brett Bochy is going to magically appear as a just shut down 2-inning reliever, and it's going to do that thing where we call somebody up and suddenly they turn into Kelby Tomlinson every time. And Joe Panic is going to come back from the DL and turn into Joe Panic plus Kelby Tomlinson, start wearing glasses, and suddenly be able to just hit 310 for the rest of the year.
Sounds like a fun sitcom, actually.
That's the Brett Bochy and Joe Panic show. Boch and Joe.
Now, is it a variety show? Is it a buddy cop film?
The theme song is actually just Bochy noise
couple
attempting to read the entire blurb for the show, but reading it you can't figure out who anybody is because Bochy's just coming up with nicknames for everybody.
Bochy and Panic has been filmed in front of this live studio audience.
I'm really excited about us. We're gonna go ahead and look at. This is gonna be a great show.
Oh man!
Tim Flannery could be the wacky neighbor.
Could be.
Since he's no longer with the team.
The studio, and so by default they're just putting him in.
He comes in and the audience goes, "Hey!" and applause or something.
Just walks in and you're just like, "Hey!" Just arms pinwheeling like he's waving somebody home.
He's waving.
He's my butt's on the line.
Get to the car. Let's go, guys! And he's waving his arm. That'd be perfect.
But he totally would be that Kramer guy who walks on, everybody goes, "Yeah!"
Hey! No, it's that or it's
Flan.
Hunter Pence.
And he's got a cloud of smoke hanging around him. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's Hunter Pence just walks in.
Not really.
And just is just stands at the door and everybody just starts laughing. It's great.
Oh, man.
It's great.
Awesome.
Also, for some reason, we're executive produced by Alexis Combolizadis. I don't know why that happened. It's weird.
Oh, that's shocking.
All right. It's a good laugh. Eric, give us something to go out on. Give us a good note. Eric?
We'll see, because I can't wish a plane crash because that's just mean, and I'm not that guy. So maybe the reason the Giants will win it all is because all the Dodgers will get injured, and they'll have to call up everybody who's already gone home for the off season. So
we're there already, right? With that team,
with the Dodgers,
like a third of the way,
Yeah, pretty much, which is why I don't get what they're doing. But, actually, I
careful. Dodgers fans will tell you it's clubhouse chemistry.
Yeah, right. But, when the Giants say it's clubhouse chemistry, everybody's like, whatever. You got
even your bullshit.
Right. No, or maybe just a slight injury to Kershaw and Greinke, and then the Giants will win it all.
You know what the difference between even your bullshit and odd your bullshit is? One of them works really well with the "Let's Go Giants" chant. Odd year bullshit.
There you go. Nice.
Feel free to start cheering that the day after we get mathematically eliminated. I will pretend to not claim credit for that ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're a family.
It is.
Yeah. It's just like you said. It's a eulogy. We're joking.
It is.
We're just trying to.
Yeah, we are.
We're just trying to keep it alive. Keep it live.
It's like we're going through. It's like we're going through the stages of grief. You know, I feel like I've bargained. I've accepted. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for coming on this emotional journey with us, listeners.
No, they can't.
Thanks for staying with us, everyone. So, if we haven't actually walked off the ledge before next Monday,
well, we will try to not do this next week.
No, we just needed it because this was the shock value. It was just we needed a pod. We needed one podcast to kind of cope with this.
Yeah,
it's been a very sudden and dramatic turn of events in the Giants season. So
I'll cry into my microphone so I have a reason to get a new one. It'll be fine.
We will get past episode 96 and episode 97. We will look towards the future and look at all the little positives that are going to come out at the end of the year, and we'll get through this all together. And with this curse of winning every other year, it'll be fine next year when they win it all. So it's going to be fine. It's going to be.
Damn it!
But
how can they? It's just so ridiculous to me.
And the numbers drop precipitously.
They won one year
and
then they didn't win the next year.
I know.
Oh no! I mean, in our lifetime, we never thought we'd see any of these. So
I only win every other lottery I play. God damn it!
I have Cub fans friends
feeling like you're one of those spoiled fans, and you're just like, but I don't want to be one of those spoiled fans. But just look at all this bounty of riches.
I know.
Yeah.
You can't help it. Can't help it.
No, you can't.
Cubs fans, but who knows? Let's see what happens with them this year. Although one game playoff, it's Pirates.
They're all looking at me. They're like, enough of this. I'm tired of your whining. Whatever. Go cry in your rings. And I'm like, well, I mean, everybody goes into a season fresh.
Yeah.
Go cry in your Chris Bryant jersey.
Yeah.
Go back at him.
Called up later.
Oh, wow. Winning record.
Yeah, right.
Well, this has been episode 96 of the Torture Cast, a very fun-filled, non-depressing one, actually. I want to thank Ben and Eric for joining us tonight. Hopefully we'll be back for episode 97 if we're all still sane and sober by next Monday. And by the way, I was sober this episode, so that's a good thing.
I was going to say sane is at least, we're aiming for sane.
Yeah, we're shooting for sane.
Or sober. We're going to pick one.
Alive. Yeah, well, one of the two ain't bad. That's true. You could be drunk and sane. It's better actually than being sober and insane. So let's go for that one, if anything. But yeah, this has been episode 96. We're approaching 100, like I was saying to Eric earlier in the episode. We may actually hit 100 if we go every week. It'll be episode 100 right after the last games of the year. It'll be our first off-season podcast right after the season is over. You can follow us on Twitter at TortureCast or like us on Facebook. That's torturecast.com/Facebook/ something like that. I don't know. You find it, Google it, whatever. You can follow us individually. Eric is at 2 Out Hits. That's with the number 2. I know. People who don't know how to Facebook, well, they're not on Facebook. You can follow Ben at Fried Duck. You can also follow Willie, the absent Willie, at what the hell is this? Is Willie Dills.
Willie Dills.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, it's Willie Dills.
Right now. Whatever. I'm just too despondent.
Yeah, I've gotten up. I started pacing. I gotta wait for my computer.
It's like, what the hell are we doing here?
Ladies and gentlemen, Chad is actually too depressed to remember what your Twitter handle is. So
yeah, he only has like 10,000 followers.
If you're going to go ahead and insult him, now's the time to do it because he won't remember who you are by next week.
But so you can follow us on all those places. You can also find our podcast on all the normal channels, iTunes and Stitcher and everything else. And follow us at torturecast.com where we post all of our episodes, show notes, and an occasional blog or two. And hopefully we'll be in the press box at least one more time this year. We got to get Ben out there. Unfortunately, we can only get one pass for that Cardinals game because it was so crowded and popular, but it's all good.
That's okay. I'm pretty much always at work anyway, so I'll keep working on that. I'll keep working. One or the other. All right.
Well, that'll do it for episode 96. But for Ben and Eric, this is Chad, and we'll see you next time. Boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.